A good Monday to you, Roger Hill of Wuthering Heights. This weather video driven by 802cars.com representing 802 Toyota, Twin City Subaru, and 802 Honda. They're all located off of Exit 7 on Interstate 89. Looking at the Northern Hemisphere globe view, and you can see mainly our weather systems are along a stringy cold front, much cooler air, a lot of drier air as well across the west coast, and much colder temperatures working in behind that frontal system. This colder air is going to be working in, and we're going to realize that especially along about Thursday. And it looks like Wednesday night and Thursday will feature a little bit of snow even down to valley floors. We're talking just mainly snow showers and flurry activity and perhaps a coating on grassy surfaces. It could affect some of our local higher terrain travel. Other than that, it does not look like it's going to be a huge deal. Currently we have rain showers moving in with a frontal system, and this is kind of a broad one. Area of low pressure will be tracking and strengthening and deepening as it moves through Quebec. However, currently we have a lot of rain shower activity, just relatively light stuff. On the tail end of this, there could be a little bit of wet snow and some of the local very high terrain, but this is not going to be like what we're going to see along about Wednesday night into the morning hours on Thursday. And just about every other day is going to feature a weather system followed by better conditions, weak areas of higher pressure bringing more settled conditions. Looks like our next two best days here will be tomorrow Tuesday as well as along about Friday. For utility interest impacts primarily with just some gradient wind gusts. These are relatively marginal. We're right on the fence line, associated mainly with frontal passages and some channeling winds, mainly in the Champlain Valley, but nothing strong anticipated. We'll see an oscillating kind of dry, chilly pattern versus wet and unsettled conditions, and roller coaster temperatures going up and down to some degree. Season's first wet snowflakes down the valley floors was likely again Wednesday evening into Thursday, mainly Thursday morning. Best dry project weather will be Tuesday, but blustery in the morning hours, and then along about Friday. A little bit lowered confidence on that. Next weekend looks like a likely unsettled condition for Saturday into a portion of Sunday, then improving after that. Let's take a look at the 6-hourly increments of our latest computer modeling of the European. So this is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon today, Monday, and you can see periodic episodic rain showers and then a little bit of a changeover to some wet snowflakes on the very tail end of this. And then that exits out. We have drier weather working in overnight tonight and during the day on Tuesday. A little bit of a gusty gradient wind on the backside with these tighter isobars here shown. That kind of moves and tracks through at that deepening area of low pressure into the Maritimes. This is valid into Tuesday night. This would be Wednesday morning. The next weather system, and this is a colder one, almost an Alberta Clipper type system, only kind of a very weak area of low pressure, but this will introduce colder air aloft and at the surface and set the stage for basically Wednesday night and Thursday with a little bit of snow shower activity. Now Thursday itself looks like it's going to be a very cold day with the backside of that colder air advecting in on northwesterly winds, and then that pushes on out. An area of higher pressure builds in with 1027 hectopascal high pressure system that ridges in. That pushes on out. We have a little bit of a warm front that kind of moves on in with some wet snow or flurry activity. Looks like overnight Thursday night. This is very short-lived and not a big deal. This moves on out of the region. So that's a stage for what should be a better Friday and a dry Friday with better project weather. Next incoming weather system beyond this period, or at the end of it, looks like we'll see it arrive on Saturday with mainly rain shower activity. And then on the backside again, it'll tail off with a little bit of wet snow. This looks like it'll last off and on with some wet snow shower or flurry activity, some ice pellets, this kind of thing. Typical more or less November type weather will be anticipated as we get into Sunday. And then beyond that, things begin to improve with another area of higher pressure building in for the early to mid part of next week. Taking a look at the GFS ensemble, you can see 2-3 distinct areas of precipitation. This is rain showers here, followed by dry weather during the day tomorrow, Tuesday. Then the next chance for rain showers mixing with a little bit of wet snow. This is probably going to be a little more snow shower activity on the first half of the overnight period, mainly Wednesday night, Thursday morning. And then we dry out, and Friday looks good. And then we have more interesting weather around the corner with the developing of what's going to be over the weekend, mainly Saturday and into the day on Sunday. You can see that drier air I was showing you earlier with the satellite picture that's moved into much of the central and northern Rockies, most of the west coast, and then all of the upper plains into the Midwest, lower Great Lakes. Most of the precipitation is going to be in the southern plains, the western Gulf of Mexico with a little bit of tropical development, a possibility anyway. And then we have our little situation here with the green line here, about a ½ inch of total precipitation. This is up to 1 inch. Interestingly, the European model is kind of doubling down a little bit higher, with southern Vermont and northern Vermont seeing the most. GFS temperature schematic centered on Montpelier, Vermont. You can see today's high temperature right here, and tonight's low, tomorrow's high, tomorrow night's low. This would be Wednesday, daytime high, and then a pretty good plunge with a cold front. This just knocks us down below the 32-degree isotherm. So what precipitation will be falling at the tail end again will be a little bit of wet snow. This could be a travel issue in our local higher terrain. This again would be Wednesday night, Thursday morning. So heads up on that. And then a high temperature that only gets up to about 35 degrees. Both the European and the GFS model is in very good agreement on this. And then, of course, a colder night to follow. And then we start to see a slight rise in temperature and more or less rain showers. And then back to snow showers as we get into Sunday. So fairly long anticipated cool down for much of the nation. The U.S. lower 48, you can see the coldest weather below normal temperatures are actually in Mexico. And then also, of course, into the northeast United States. We're sort of switching places now with a trough of lower pressure and colder air affecting the east. Warmer air is starting to embed and work its way into the west. And again, along with very dry conditions, this warmer air is eventually going to push east as well, but probably not realized for maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. 3 days later, this is what it looks like. You're looking at temperatures running in Vermont somewhere around 9 degrees below normal. Kind of a quick look at surface sea temperature anomalies, how much above or below normal. Well above normal across the entire east coast from Florida all the way up into the Grand Banks. We have a cold blob typically in the North Atlantic, some of that freshwater melt. And it's warming up here, and it's still cold in the central part of the North Atlantic Ocean. Looking at the continents and temperature anomalies, you can see the much below normal temperatures here across much of the lower 48 United States into the eastern half and into northern Canada. It's warming up in Alaska. Note the Arctic is well above normal, and you can see it's running 4.7 degrees Celsius. That's not even Fahrenheit, and that's well above normal. The Antarctic is 2.3 degrees Celsius below normal, and you can see that this is relatively cold air here. A little bit of a mix there. Temperatures overall, southern hemisphere running just a tenth of a degree below normal. Northern hemisphere is taking most of it at 0.8 of a degree above normal. And a check on the tropics. Again, we have a southwestern Caribbean disturbance, a 40% chance of cyclone formation over the next 5 days. If it would to develop, it would probably cross the Yucatan and dump out in the Gulf of Mexico with a kind of northwest direction, and it may affect parts of Mexico, perhaps southeastern Texas. No threat for the East Coast, and certainly no threat for the North Atlantic. Thanks for watching. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.